We are back with another live episode of the Bully Ball podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. I'm Jason Aponte, joined as always by Steph Sanchez. Steph, it's March. It's spring. That can only mean one thing: people getting irrationally angry about the media madness bracket that is now out, and you guys should all go vote on goldstandardniners.com. Link is in the description. Steph, how we feeling about our first round matchup? I just got to look at it. I'll be honest. I didn't really look at it too much. It looks like there's a lot more names, and shout out to everybody who joined. But how we feeling about this first round matchup? They didn't put me against you this time.
Yeah, I know, man. That's brutal. They put Vish against Rich though, which is I thought was pretty crazy. It's like to watch the tape,
But
disciples right there. Uh
it's 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 very level headed, Vish. And I like to do his impression. I'm not gonna do it. And shit, man, who cares, man? I bet that's like when it came out. I bet you Rich looked at it, was like, shit, not this again, man.
but no, it's all in good fun, I'm excited about it. I'm going up against Brian Rennick. He puts out some great content as
Shout
well.
out to
So
the
I'm
homie.
sure it'll be a tough battle. But yeah, it's nice to see a lot of names out there because there's a lot of 49ers content creators out there where 49er fans are just so lucky, to have so much content out there and all types, right? Like everyone puts out, their own kind of spin on it. So yeah, vote, vote, vote.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you go out there and vote. Vote for your favorite people. Vote against the people you don't like. There's a lot of strong opinions about the 49er content creator world, because there's people that'll just say, "Oh my god, I straight up love these people," or someone is just like, "I hate this person." Like, you know how many times like I've looked at my Twitter and I've looked through my mentions and people are just like, "I really hate you." I'm just like, "Damn, well, good morning to you too, pal." Like, jeez, man. I don't go to your job and knock the broom out of your hand. Shit. All right. Anyway, speaking of content, George Kittle and Deebo Samuel are about to be Netflix stars, and not in Ozark, and not in any sort of
Not
Netflix
Love is Blind.
documentary. Not Love Is Blind, but it's receiver. So it was quarterback initially, which had Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and for some reason Marcus Mariota. And this one's receiver: Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Devontae Adams. Steph, this team cannot stop being in front of the damn camera.
I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I mean, obviously, it was content from this past season. I'm just waiting for some fan to be like, they were distracted and that's why they did so poorly in the Super Bowl. Like, it's coming, Jay. And I'm curious to see if they will have any content, from the Super Bowl and leading up to that week. I'm excited to see it. As a fan, like I love to get an inside look at, players' lives and, their day-to-day just things we don't normally get to see, and especially two players as entertaining as Deebo and George Kittle in their own ways, right? And the other guys who are included as well. I actually like this idea a little bit better than the quarterback thing, and I know they had a hard time getting quarterbacks to even sign up for this for a second season, so now they had to pivot a little bit. But I kind of like this pivot because I think receivers are one of, if not the most entertaining position groups in all of football.
Yeah, and this is the thing too, is I loved that quarterback show because of the inside stuff, right? Like when Kirk Cousins lost
Mm.
that game to the New York Giants, like him going home and taking care of his kid, and it even gave me a little bit more of respect for Patrick Mahomes too. I love this sort of stuff. I obviously am joking when it comes to this, but give me more of these behind the scenes things. I love inside the NFL and Hard Knocks, and anytime that you can get behind the curtain, right? Like a little bit. I even loved All or Nothing when I was on Amazon. So this is gonna be really cool. Honestly, it's gonna be cool to see what sort of training habits they have, because I think that's been a point of contention with Deebo Samuel, even though nobody really knows like what goes on, with his training habits and things like that. But it'll be pretty cool to see this. I'm excited. Honestly, we need something else to talk about right now aside from the upcoming quarterback controversy that'll be made up because the Pastronaut is now a San Francisco 49er. Obviously, that's sarcasm, guys. But I'm just saying, somebody is gonna start it. Great Fox, thanks for the donation. You the man, Jason. Appreciate that, my boy. Um, but yeah, I think this is gonna be cool. Honestly, seeing Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams and Amon-Ra, like those are like some of the best guys in the league. And Justin Jefferson is my favorite player in the league. So I'm excited. I don't see anything wrong with this.
I want to see some Devontae Adams, Jimmy Garoppolo interactions. Can we get some of that in there as well?
Los Angeles Rams legend Jimmy Garoppolo. I can't
What
believe
a
this is happening.
what a crazy offseason, like with the quarterback carousel, right?
Yeah. Some of the things, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are out here crushing it, man. Like, I mean, obviously, all right, you know what? We can talk about that for two reasons. Because one, there's a report out there that the Pittsburgh Steelers actually reached out for Brandon Aiyuk. I think this goes without saying, when you're a good football player, teams are going to reach out.
Yeah,
I could reach out to
it's
Rihanna in a
crazy.
DM, and it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
Hey, hey,
Great
Sydney Sweeney.
example.
Hey, Sydney Sweeney. I'd love to take you out on a
Don't you
date. I
dare.
reached out. I reached out.
Don't you
Don't you
dare.
dare. We're fighting. We're fighting. But I reached out to Sydney Sweeney and I didn't get anything. I don't get it. Like, it's no need to act up. Of course, people are going to go after football players. But yeah, that's the way that I'm gonna put it into perspective.
I don't know why it annoys me. Like I'm starting to get annoyed by it because I think like people automatically see those reports and think the 49ers are shopping Brandon Ayuk. No, they're not. They're getting phone calls as they should be. Like literally every team in the NFL besides the 49ers are going to be calling the 49ers, you know what I mean? And they're going to be asking about Brandon Ayuk. And that's it. Like duh, like no shit. No shit. They're going to be interested in Ayuk. I mean, it's just so dumb to, make a big deal out of it. I think it's nothing more than what happens every year. Of course, teams are gonna poke around and just see what the status is on that. If we know anything about the 49ers, I mean, you better come with some kind of package if you're trying to get Brandon Ayuk. Now, is that asking for too much for Brandon Ayuk? Yeah, perhaps. But part of the reason that they would set the price so high is because they actually want to keep him. So not only are you paying for Brandon Ayuk, but um, not paying, but not only would you be giving up X amount for Brandon Ayuk, you'd also be giving up the 49ers right, I guess, to claim him. I don't know how to say that, but I think you know what I mean, right? Like
Right.
obviously the 49ers want to keep him, so you got to pay a little bit extra in order to let him have you. Or man, Jay, just go. I didn't
Breaking
have enough
breaking
coffee
news.
today, I guess.
Breaking news. Teams are interested in good football players. Breaking
Yeah,
news.
I almost said that. It's just so ridiculous. It's like, yeah, everyone is interested in Brandon Ayuk. Newsflash, buddy.
Newsflash. So, speaking of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this isn't a Steelers podcast, but I am going to tie it to the 49ers, so just stay with me. They overhauled their quarterback room. Kenny Pickett goes to Philadelphia, Mason Rudolph leaves, and they're paying two quarterbacks a total of $4 million. One is Russell Wilson, and one is Justin Fields. Why do I bring this up? Because naturally, as soon as Justin Fields got traded, what did it turn back to, Steph? Well, that's why the 49ers went and they got something better for Trey Lance instead of just giving away Justin Fields for a sixth. I want to go back down memory lane just a little bit. That draft, that trade up to 3 with Miami, that was a glorious time because this fan base and everybody, we all killed each other over who was going to be the pick. Is it Mac? Is it going to be Trey? Is it going to be Justin? Right? And it's so crazy. Trevor Lawrence is the only starter. Zach Wilson is still on the Jets. Trey Lance has started 4 games. Justin Fields is the backup right now, it seems, in Pittsburgh. And Mac Jones is the backup to Trevor Lawrence. That entire draft group, boy, did we miss the miss the mark on that one. It's supposed to be one of the best draft classes for quarterbacks ever. But man, it just thinking back on all those names and where they are now, and what we had to go through in terms of like fighting each other and what we thought, man, it boggles the mind to see these guys in different uniforms.
I I get that it's like somewhat relevant because of, the 49ers having traded Trey Lance last season, but I don't care.
Oh,
I don't care anymore. Like I'm so over that whole discourse of, oh, this quarterback is better than this quarterback because look how we did it, or look how much draft capital was given up for him. It You can look back at that particular draft, or you can look at what they're getting in return for them now, in 2024, and it's not much. I mean, like you said, I think every team pretty much whiffed on that one in their own way. And I don't care. Like I've moved on. I think the 49ers have moved on. It's like, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't move me, Jay.
breaking news, and this is going to move everyone. Brandon Ayuk has just tweeted. He added Mike Tomlin, and he said, "They saying we twins. What you think?" I'm sure. I'm sure that everybody's going to be level-headed about this and
Yeah,
not take.
exactly.
Yeah, I. It's
He's having
obvious
fun with
trolling.
it. He's
It's
having
obvious
fun with
trolling.
it.
It's obvious trolling. And why not?
Exactly.
It's obvious trolling. Stop. And they've already
Yeah,
said that before, that he looks like Mike Tomlin. That's
he does.
clearly, obviously trolling. Come on. Come on. Come on. Guys, please, please. Don't look, of all the things that we could be freaking out about, of all the things that we could really have a problem with, don't do this. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Anyway, let's start a new narrative and let's start a new controversy. You ready? Hot take. Josh Dobbs is going to take Brock Purdy's job. I'm
Oh
actually just
no.
imitating. I'm imitating someone who's eventually going to start saying that. Obviously, I'm sarcastic, but the 49ers do have a new quarterback too. It's the astronaut. He's a rocket scientist. He's probably already learned the playbook. His name is Josh Dobbs. What do you think?
I love this move. I love
Yes.
this move. I already liked the 49ers having Brandon Allen, bringing Brandon Allen back. And I had come to terms kind of with the idea of Brandon Allen being like the backup this season, right? And then bringing in maybe like a rookie or some other rando. But I love this. I love this a lot. I think Josh Dobbs has, obviously he's a really smart player, and I think he's shown the ability to catch on to new offenses very quickly. I mean, every team that he's gone to, and he went to a few this past season, right? And right off the bat, he was asked to pretty much go in and play, and he looked pretty good. Now, the problem was with Dobbs is that if does fizzle out, or it has, last season he kind of had some insanity runs with each team that he was with. It fizzled out. There were a lot of turnovers, but I like this because I think Brian Greasy has done a good job of, kind of limiting the turnovers for the quarterbacks of the 49ers. And so I think this could be good for Dobbs, and this could be good for Purdy and the 49ers, because should anything happen to Purdy, should, he miss a game or anything, like, I think Dobbs is one of the best probably backup options in all of the leagues. So I like in the 49ers quarterback room right now. I think it's pretty much set. They'll probably bring in someone for camp. Maybe they bring in an undrafted free agent or something like that. But I say it's pretty much set with those three guys, and I would feel very, very comfortable with that as well.
And I think that's the way it should be viewed. Is if Preston to duty, you feel good about it because his game can translate to just running the football, which is what the 49ers do. He can add, a little bit of something with his own legs. Think back to like the Trey Lance package type thing. I think that's something that could be on the table as well. And I think your point about it fizzling out is the point that should be smashed home. Is backups tend to do that. That's what backups do. Backups shouldn't be playing more than 1 or 2 games, 3
Mhm.
games, right? If you have a stretch where unfortunately Brock Purdy's hurt and now it's 3 games where you've got Josh Dobbs, you really just need him to steady the ship, hopefully go 2-1, maybe go 1-2, but you're prepared to do that. So when people are like, oh, well, look how bad it went, they're not asking Josh Dobbs is not coming here to start. And I don't think that he should have been asked to start that many games for other teams. And I think, again, when you're thinking about the room, everybody was fine with Sam Darnold being there last year. I would say that recently Josh Dobbs has had more success than Sam Darnold, at least, right? Like at least winning games. He had, again, Linsanity runs a perfect way to put it. I think that's hilarious actually. But if he's asked for 1 or 2 games, 3 games, hand the football off, manage the game, let our defense keep us in the game, and we'll score enough points. No problem. No problem. I think this is a great move, and I think it's a high value character guy that this team loves to bring in, and it just works. This one really works, and it's something that I never thought about because I really thought that they were just going to run it with Purdy and Allen, possibly draft someone else at
Yeah.
the end of the draft, maybe. So yeah, this is fine. I think this is fine, and I think it's something that uh may not be a high impact move or anything like that. And of course, we got to get our jokes off because he is an astronaut. He actually works for NASA. He's a rocket scientist, but it's going to be fine if he has to step in for a game or two. And I think that's the best way it should be viewed.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting to me. I was doing a live yesterday talking about the possibility of Zach Wilson, being signed by the 49ers,
How
right?
angry
Because
did
that
that
was
make
like
people, right?
that
How
was
angry
a
did that make people?
as it should. I mean, but like at the same time, what I said is like if the 49ers signed Zach Wilson, it would be so insignificant. Like, look at how much we were up in arms about Sam Darnold joining the 49ers, last season, and it didn't even matter. Like, it was just so insignificant. It would be no different. So I'm saying Josh Dobbs is significant in the sense that, I don't think he's going to start, many games, if any at all, for the 49ers, but I like the move just because I think he does add something to that room. Just on some of the things we mentioned. I also like, the fact that he's a bit mobile as well. He can use his legs. Maybe that's something that, Brock Purdy can maybe take some few pointers on him. Brock, is could use his legs too as well. But I think maybe Dobbs can teach him a few moves. I don't know, but I think it'll be great. Wherever Dobbs is gone, he's been liked by the teams, by the coaches. So good move all around. What
JKBG
are you
says with
giggling at
him
over
at the
there?
helm. This JKBG says with him at the helm, they can finally run the annexation of Puerto Rico. Love a good Little Giants reference. That's perfect. And then JKBG also says Dobbs the pastronaut, Darnold the persistent man at Arby's.
Oh no.
He got $10 million. He got $10 million. He's right now technically the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, barring some sort of trade up, which it feels like they're kind of getting into position for to try to get to number 4 with Arizona. It sounds like they really want JJ McCarthy, but yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. This is just something that you need to have to insulate your room. The 49ers made all of their other signings very official finally, so everybody can stop freaking out. Leonard Floyd, Devondre Campbell. Uh, the lineman from the Raiders was a little bit of something that nobody really reported, and the 49ers kind of just dropped there. So that's more depth. He plays tackle, so that's more depth. All right, we might as well just talk about it, Steph. Feliciano's back. They're adding another tackle. The 49ers are not running this offensive line back. I want to explain what I mean. They're not running it back. What they're doing is there's 3 possibilities for the 49ers. One, and this is the baseline one. You can run back this offensive line. I don't think this is plan A, but you still have that in your back pocket. 2, you find a guy in the draft that you really like and you go get him. Or 3, once you get that guy and he shows up at camp and he beats other people out, he starts. So when you see Feliciano coming back, when you see McKivitz coming back, it doesn't mean that the 49ers are dead set on plan A, just saying we're just running it back with this offensive line. There's going to be no sort of additions. This is a safety net in case the guy that they want gets drafted, or they can't identify a guy, or they draft someone who doesn't pan out. You always everything needs to be considered. The 49ers aren't just running it back with this offensive line. That's their safety net. Is we made a Super Bowl with this offensive line, and we're a few plays away from winning. So now, if worst case scenario happens and we don't find the guy, or we draft someone and he doesn't pan out and he doesn't look like a day 1 starter, now you can go back to the offensive line that went to the Super Bowl. That's just my 2 cents.
Correct. I think at worst they would run it back with the same
At
group. And
worst. Worst
that's
case
not
scenario.
bad. Like, that's
No.
not even bad,
They made
right?
the
Like,
Super Bowl. They made the Super Bowl with that offensive line.
Exactly. So I'll say what you want about that right side, right? But the facts are facts. They did get to where they needed to be with that group. And so Worst case scenario, they would run it back with that group, but I don't think it keeps the 49ers from drafting a guy who could potentially beat out Colton McKivitz, who could potentially beat out Feliciano. I mean, they always look for competition at every position, so it's going to be no different this time around. Like a lot of people thought right off the bat, oh, they extended Colton McKivitz. Getting the tackle in the first round is definitely off the table now. Why? Why?
Right. Right.
Why would it be? Like, so Colton McKivitz is not that dude that's going to keep a team from doing anything, like so I think offensive line definitely going to be addressed in this draft as it should be. I think when you look at the moves they've made this offseason, and we've been saying it, like they're setting themselves up for best player available. And not just that, but I think obviously they're setting themselves up to address offense in this draft. It's going to be a tackle heavy, wide receiver heavy draft. And so it's smart. The way
Yeah.
they've kind of been replenishing the smaller positions or the defensive side of things, special teams, all that. Like it's been really smart how they've been going about it. No splash moves like we thought, but still very productive in what they've been doing. And yeah, I would definitely expect the 49ers to still even double dip on offensive line come draft day.
Again, worst case scenario is this line. Best case scenario is you draft a dude and he shows up to training camp and he kicks everyone's ass and all of a sudden he's starting. And you can throw out whatever Kyle Shanahan doesn't play rookies narrative out the window. If a guy's whipping everybody's ass, he's gonna start. So again, let's settle in, guys. Like again, this just feels like part of the process. And again, what they're trying to do is be ultimately flexible for a trade up, identify a guy,
Mhm.
go get him, draft the guy that they want. And again, you have to put all of your possibilities on the table. You can't just draft a guy in the first round and say, well, you're a day one starter, go. Like, and then what happens? If he goes out there and he's getting his ass beat the entire time, what did it do? Again, like you have to have that. And the Colin McKivitz thing too with the money. They're like, oh, $7 million is a starter. What if Colin McKivitz is now your Daniel Brunskill? Because he has flexibility, left tackle, right guard, like, and he needs to step in for somebody, and he's just like one of those guys that just bounces around whenever needed. So I don't know if there's too much to take away from the moves other than they're just insulating themselves at this point. And I know they like to use that word. And what's the other one? Convicted and all that stuff. So it's kind of like seeped into my mind. Insulate, convicted. There's a lot of those words there that are like buzzwords for the team organization guys. So, but yeah, look, it doesn't mean that the 49ers are not going to be drafting. I doubt that very seriously. Daza says O-line was also a significant factor in them losing a Super Bowl, not being able to block Chris Jones. If they want a ring, they need to go heavy in the O-line in the draft. Yeah, and John Feliciano got hurt in the Super Bowl. He was playing pretty well. Everything was kind of going the right way, and then you have that injury. Burford misses an assignment, and then Chris Jones just ends up showing up again. Oh, Mark says they're doing their due diligence. Excellent. That's excellent. That's the third one. That's such a good 49ers buzz term. That's excellent,
We
Mark.
need like buzzword bingo because
Buzzword bingo. Excellent. Or do a drinking game for the 49ers press conferences. And if you hear convicted, due diligence, insulated, take a shot. We'll all be
well,
wasted within
they're
15 minutes.
they're gonna be speaking with the media like next week, right? At the league meetings. So I'm sure we'll get a couple of those.
Hey,
Rob, set up the bingo.
and if you're gonna do the drinking game, call out of work, guys. Call out of work. Brick by brick. That's another good one. That's a
I
really
would
good
not
one. It's
recommend
so
it.
good. Hey, do it responsibly, guys. I'm not advocating for it, but I'm not gonna stop you if you want to. Anyway, that's what I feel like is going on with the offensive line. I think again, there is someone who said the same thing as well too. Convicted Diego said that's the other one too. I believe that it was someone in there that said there's another possibility with this offensive line. Is there a possibility that the offensive line could get better? Like Colin McKivitz gets another season under, you know, uh Feliciano's there. It's for like maybe Brendel gets a little bit better. I don't want to bet on that. I don't know if that's a strong possibility, but it's a possibility. And Mark says it's a word because if you do with Kyle, oh, forget it. Like, you're done.
Do your impersonation of Kyle.
I think Colton did great. Colton. When we watch the tape and we look back, Colton did great. I think there's a lot of plays that we can clean up, and I think a lot of that starts with me and the guys in here. But I think he's doing fine.
A little too much accountability there, but
Yeah. Whoa.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But yeah, I mean, look again. It's early on. It's early on right now. No need to get all crazy about things, right? We're getting closer and closer to the draft. It does sound like when you look at all the mock drafts that the 49ers are going to address tackle, guard, we're gonna find out. Is it Grant Barton? Is it Mims? Could it be Jordan Morgan, right? Like there's a lot of guys in this first round that it possibly could happen. So let's see. How fun is it to look at a mock draft again? Good God, he's absolutely right. That's Rob talking. Boxing fan times 4. Roger Rosengarten, sorry, reading's hard, could be a steal at OT in day 2. He's a sophomore who was expected to return to Washington. So that's the thing, too. If the 49ers in the first round do not take an offensive lineman, that is no need for you to freak out, right?
Right.
Because there could be a guy in round 2, maybe round 3, maybe the pick that they got penalized for. Oops, sorry, I had to make sure I got that one in there, too, as well. But I think what frustrates 49ers fans is not the investment on the line because the 49ers have invested in the line. They just haven't invested high-end picks. First round guys. Second round. Like second round is banks only. Everybody else has kind of either been stopgap guys that they brought in from other places and later in the draft. I think what 49er fans want to see is a first round guy, somebody who can move the needle right away or sooner because all those other guys have to sit and be developed a little bit more. Wouldn't you say that that's the frustration? It's not the investment. They've invested, but what have they invested? They haven't invested those high-end picks.
Well, yeah, probably the highest would be mostly second round. They've done
Aaron
that,
Banks.
but yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think especially at a position like tackle, I feel like they like to develop guys, but tackle's one of those positions where I want a day one starter, like get someone who's a sure thing, who has had the experience in college, not someone who maybe you're trying to groom into that spot and develop into and maybe it wasn't his main position in college, but you want to move him over, like no
Right.
experimenting. Like I just want like a day one starter.
Right.
And I think that's a frustration, right? Because there's a lot of like developing like Nick Zakel. I know he was like a later pick, but it's like there was a lot of hype around him just because the 49ers hyped him up. And like we like him at center. We see him as the center of the future. Then it came time
Jason
like
Poe.
what happened to Jason Poe? Like that's what I'm saying, right? Like there's like no. It's like the
See,
Jack
the thing
Nicholson
is,
meme, like no.
yeah, he's
Uh
like, no, oh God. And like Daz is saying, the frustration is also the complete disparity between D line and O line investments, right? So
which is
that makes a
fair,
lot of
yeah.
sense, 100%. I think again, it's always kicking the can down the road, the next guy or the next year, and this is what we talked about. The last 2 drafts have been filled with so many of, well, he's got to develop a little, got to give him a little more time. No, 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 no. Like you need right now to get guys who are on the cusp of contributing or can compete or go right away. It can't be any more of that. It really can't be any more of that. And apparently we got breaking news. Jerry Jeudy just got a 3-year contract extension worth up to $58 million, including $41 million. What are the Browns doing? What are the Browns doing? Are
That'd
you
be
dumb?
19 about 19 per
Are you
year.
dumb? Jerry Jeudy, $41 million guaranteed? What? Man,
I
what?
mean,
What?
you got to talk about
What's
how
up?
that may affect
Affects, yeah. I mean, all right.
Aiyuk.
We'll talk about how that affects Brandon Aiyuk. Can we just talk about how this is stupid business? Not only are you dumb enough to give Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract, you are now dumb enough to give that much money to Jerry Jeudy, who literally has caught maybe 30 more passes than you and I, Steph.
Is baffling. It's baffling. It reminds
What?
me of when the Jags, gave Christian Kirk like that ridiculous contract as well, and it just like messed up the entire wide receiver market for like that that whole off season, teams were pissed. Yeah, I'm sure some teams are a little pissed at this move too, because rightfully so. Other wide receivers who are waiting for a contract gonna point at that and be like, "Well, this dude got that much. Okay, I want this much." I mean, it happens every year, right? And the way that the 49ers handle their contracts, we know that they happen around camp. By then, a lot of the, guys who are waiting for their contracts usually will get theirs before then. So the 49ers kind of have to compete or fall in line with what the market has kind of set for all those other guys. So that's kind of the drawback of the 49ers waiting so long to extend some of these guys. But yeah, it's getting interesting.
It's getting spooky. And honestly, June 2nd, there's gonna be a lot more money that come in after the Eric Armstead money is cleared as well too. That's when you
True.
kind of will see some traction. But I said this during the time when they signed Deshaun Watson. Lamar Jackson, who by the way, nobody wanted to sign because or trade for because whatever. But if you're Lamar Jackson and you're a unanimous MVP and you've never done anything wrong off the field, and you look at Deshaun Watson get all that money from the Cleveland Browns and the guaranteed money, why wouldn't you walk to your agent and say, I want that? He's never done anything in this league that I've done. I want that. Right? So that's kind of where we are now here. It doesn't make any sense. It's it's literally like now because the market is always highest paid, then the next highest paid, everybody is like doing the next because everybody's pointing at the next person,
Yep.
the next person. So I'm trying to understand like what do you see in Jerry Judy that would force you to give him that amount of money? Because I don't even think he's better than Amari Cooper. And like maybe there was something that we could point to where we're like, well, he's open, he wasn't getting the ball. Well, he's just been a little it's none of that. I mean, he's not a tough route runner. He's much more finesse. He doesn't have strong hands to finish through the contact. Um, do they think that they're just getting like they just like stumbled on this guy that they're like, oh, we gotta lock him up now before he blows up? Like if this blows up in my face, it's fine. If like Jerry Judy goes off and he has a career year, fine, whatever. Clip this, go crazy. But why wouldn't Brandon Ayuk say, man, I have more catches this year than he's had his entire career? I don't get it. I don't get it, Steph. It's baffling.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean the Broncos had been trying to get rid of, Judy via trade for at least 2 years, it feels like. And so, yeah, this it is a little shocking, but yeah, we'll see how it impacts the 49ers and Ayuk. I mean, we already mentioned the tweet, that he sent out talking about the Steelers report basically more or less by adding Mike Tomlin on Twitter, but yeah, I guess we'll just have to see.
All right, Steph. 33 minutes in. I think we're good. Remember, guys, media madness. Go out there, vote. GoStandardNiners.com. Make sure you're subscribed and liking this video on the Go Standard YouTube channel. Make sure you're following Steph on Twitter at Steph49K. Me at Jason Aponte 2103. Maybe subscribe to our YouTube channel too if you like. There's some good stuff on there. And make sure you guys go to Go Standard Niners for all the news and everything as well too. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch this one play out with Brandon Ayuk, man. But I still, in my heart, believe they'll get it done. So, but on that note, for Steph, for Jay, we're out of here.